Well, hey there, my friend. Welcome back to the show. My name is Deanna Yates, and you are listening to episode 261 of the Wannabe Clutter Free podcast. On today's episode, I am chatting with Colette Roy, and we are diving into a topic that I think so many of us can relate to, and it is doing decluttering or organizing projects with our partners. And let's just say that it doesn't always go smoothly. And Colette is here to help us learn how to tackle these tricky relationship dynamics that tend to pop up when we are trying to organize as a team, especially if you've never done it before. And she just launched an online course, which I think has a really funny title. It's called How to Organize Your Garage Without Killing Your Partner or your relationship. Really, I'm going to put that part in parentheses. And yes, it is as insightful as it is funny. Colette is great. I love her personality, and hopefully you'll see some of that today. We talk about communication, emotional baggage, and the literal and figurative kind, because obviously we've got garages we're dealing with, and that's where we store our luggage. So there's going to be some baggage that we can help clear away today, hopefully, and what it really takes to get on the same page with your beloved when it comes to home projects. And we talk about family too. So if you have kiddos, they can come into play here. And also, they're going to see how you work through this dynamic with your partner. So let's make it a good one. And so if you've ever tried to declutter a garage, a closet, or even just your junk drawer with your partner, and you've ended up in a heated debate about that random mysterious cord or mysterious hardware, you're going to feel so seen in this episode. So before we jump in, though, I want to make sure to say thank you to you absolutely for spending some time with me today. And if you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to click that subscribe or follow button so that you don't miss any of the awesome conversations I have coming your way. And of course, if you want to connect or ask a question about decluttering, organizing, or just life with less stress, well, then come on over to Instagram. I am at Wannabe Clutter Free, or we have a private Facebook community as well, and that is the Wannabe Minimalist Family Group over there. All right, and then one last thing, you can get show notes for today's episode at wannabeclutterfree.com/261. Again, that's wannabeclutterfree.com/the number 261. And we talk about a lot of different resources, so make sure you check that out as well. All right, let's get into it. Well, hello, Colette. Welcome back to Wannabe Clutter Free. How you doing today?
I am very excited to be here. I love talking with you. This is my second time on, everybody, in case you didn't know. And Deanna was my absolute first. She's the one who allowed me on her podcast first.
Oh, how fun.
It really is, and it's my favorite one. It's my favorite one. Yep, out of the handful that I've done so far, it's the best. It's just such a nice, beautiful, easy flowing conversation, and I love conversations.
Me too. Well, yes, I have loved that we have connected. This has been a really you talk about some really fun conversation topics. And, I love how you come at different angles when it comes to clutter and couples. And we're going to get into that. And yes, you were episode 211. If people are wondering, after this, they're going, oh, I got to get on and see where her other episode was. We'll have links for that in the show notes as well. So, all right, Colette, for those that are not aware, tell us who you are and what you do.
Okay. My name's Colette Roy, and for the past 20 years, I've been a professional organizer right in the trenches with people, helping them side by side, helping them clarify what they want, what they don't want, what they need, what they don't need, and setting up systems of efficiency and organization based on what they've decided to keep for their inventory. So we're always trying to reduce inventory to make life a little bit more spacious. But I'm not there to make them get rid of anything, although I'll gently nudge and push for sure. But it's a business that has brought me loads and loads of beautiful people into my life and an amazing addiction to transformation. I love transformation. And when you organize, that's what you're doing. You are transforming the physical space, but you're also transforming how you live and how you see things. And so from going from something, even just a cluttered drawer, to something that you open up, maybe let's just use a silverware drawer. That's my favorite one because everyone's opening up the silverware drawer a few times a day. So that is something that you're always looking at. So if you take, let's give it 30 minutes, honestly, I don't think it's going to take a lot of time. You need most of that stuff in there, but I bet there's a ton of stuff that you don't need. So if you just take the 30 minutes, purge out what you don't need, make it super simplistic and very, very minimalistic, every time you pull that drawer open, you go, oh, yeah, that feels nice. And that, my friends, is going to be a beautiful opportunity to connect in with that sense of peace, what you like about it, and then an impetus to make it happen in other drawers. Just go the next drawer down. Just do the next drawer down. That's it. You're just building little pockets of peace that's going to inspire you to go bigger in all areas of your life. But I digress.
No, I love it. You said a couple things there that I thought was really interesting. Side by side, really interesting how you look at that already from the partnership of how are we doing this together, and then also, yes, starting in. I might have to change one of my questions at the end and be like, where would you recommend people start decluttering? And I love the utensil drawer because one, it's very purpose driven, right? So it's got a very specific purpose for it. You know what's supposed to be in there, as I use air quotes. And it's a small enough space that people can do it quickly. I mean, I think 30 minutes is generous. I think you could absolutely get it done within 30 minutes, if not a lot less, which is always great when people are starting. They need something quick and simple. But it's also an area, because you talk about couples and families for that matter, it's a place where everybody uses it. So everybody's going to see the difference versus I know a lot of people will say start in your closet or start in your bedroom, and not the entire family will get that, right? They won't get the benefit or see the benefit or feel those results right away. So I love that. I love that analogy too.
Thanks, sister. And so, what I want to say is from those 20 years of being with people, I have been inside of people's relationships with them. I have watched how clutter is impacting the way that they talk to each other, how maybe they're not talking to each other because the clutter is providing a certain sense of pain for either one of them or both of them. And it can definitely spill out into your children as well. If they tend to lean towards wanting things more organized and less cluttery, and yet they are living in a state of a lot of clutter, something's happening inside of their nervous system and they might not even understand it. And this is a perfect opportunity for me to talk to you and say thank you for writing that book, because I don't know if you all know this, but I think you probably do, but you should. Deanna wrote this great book about why children are holding on to things and how they can let them go. And it's so important as I've watched families cope with frustration around kids' rooms being a mess, like a huge mess. And there's a lot of things to say there, that maybe there shouldn't be that many toys inside of a child's room. They don't know how to pick it up. So when the parent says, hey, pick up your room, and they're like, I don't know where to put all this. There's no place for this stuff. And I think that your book really explains the importance of having less. And it's really important for kids to know that they can have less, because if they're not seeing that model out in the rest of the house, if you're not modeling that for your child to have less, they really don't have the skill sets yet to understand categories. Like that's a lot of what I work with kids, is just teaching them what a category is. And so now they're playing this game of like, oh, okay, this has to do with my hair. It's a barrette, so I'm going to put it in this bin. And so we're putting them into the role of their sorting. They don't just go a whole blanket like this is all just stuff and I don't know where stuff goes. So you have to give them some framework. And I think this book does a really nice job with it. Thank you for writing it.
Well, thank you. I'm glad it has made such an impact, and I'm glad that you can see it as a useful tool for families, because that is why I wrote it, right? I wanted to help give families the tools to do these things on their own, right? I love that there are people like yourself that go into homes and help families organize and declutter and do it. But there are so many people out there that don't have that ability or don't have somebody that they trust to come help them. And so I want to give people those tools that they can do this on their own, that it is possible. And so that was why I wrote the book. I wanted to kind of start with, so many parents come to me and say, my child's room is such a mess. I just don't know what to do. And they're so frustrated. Like you said, you use that word frustrated. And your home is supposed to be your sanctuary. This is where you're supposed to feel the most like who you truly are. And if we are just stuck under all these piles of stuff and this aspirational clutter of who we thought we were going to be, and then it just brings up guilt and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, if we can start early and give our children, the tools to be able to do this, I'm all for it. So thank you. I'm glad the book spoke to you, and thanks for reminding people of it.
And I think what I liked the most is that you were really explaining to children how them letting go of things can become someone else's win, or I don't know, new stuffy is now coming into a child's life who might not have been able to afford that stuffy in a retail house, in a retail store rather. But I do believe it's it's a really impactful message for kids, as they, because I do watch a lot of kids get really caught in their attachments already.
Oh gosh, yes.
Yeah, and so you really, please check in with that with your child, because it's coming from somewhere. I met a little girl who didn't want to get rid of these sneakers that were trash, like literal trash. And she says, no, 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 I have a lot of good memories with those. And I'm thinking, uh-oh, that's going to be a problem. Like if the sneakers are just one little, she's holding a lot. There's a lot of, and I'm not sure where we're getting that. Like, where are we believing that our memories are inside of things? But anyway, nice job on the book. Remind me the name of it again.
It's Lenora and her super duper messy room.
Right on. That's awesome. That's great. Did you have fun writing it?
I loved writing it. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, it was really fun. My whole family helped with my whole family, my husband and daughter helped me write it. And so, yeah, it was a really fun project that we got to kind of work on together. All right, let's get back on topic, because I think today's going to really help a lot of couples and families, because it's summertime. We're getting into, project season. A lot of us have a little extra time. The days are longer, right? And so one of the things that a lot of people do in the summer is they work on organizing their garage or other big home projects. And you have created a course on this, but before we get into about that, I want to talk about like, why is organizing with your spouse or trying to do a big declutter project with your partner or family often a recipe for conflict? What do you see in your experience?
Well, I think the bottom line, the real common denominator is that a lot of people don't really want to believe, is that we're different. We're all different. Like, your partner's going to see the world differently than how you see it. And you're definitely going to see your stuff very differently. I'm just going to use this as an example. I don't know, his high school jacket is still in the back of the closet. And maybe all of his football jerseys from high school are still in the back of the closet, and he never uses them. And you have a huge bone to pick with him every time you see him. You just go, that shit is driving me crazy. Why are you keeping that? And yet, I am certain, I am probably 96% certain that you have something from your past that you are keeping, and you believe truly that this is a worthy thing to keep. So you have different attachments to things, and that's because you're different humans. So the conflict comes from the difference. And what I want everyone to understand is that you can move into a place of compassion and respect and honoring that you each have different things that are meaningful to you, and to drop the story of your life is going to be better once that stuff is out of the closet. That's not true. It's and if you push them hard enough, and even if you take it upon yourself to get rid of it, which you should never do, everybody, please don't get rid of anything of your partners or your kids. You can hide the stuff on the kid in the garage and see if they ever notice it. And if they do notice it, you bring it back out of the garage. But please don't ever throw stuff away from that belongs to someone else. You're going to set yourself up for people now not trusting you. And that is not going to work out in the end. So you can have negotiation around it. I mean, if those items in the back of his closet are affecting you in a negative way, where there's not enough space in your day-to-day flow, that your stuff is now crammed because he's taking up this space, there can be discussion around finite amounts of space that you find to create storage for. Like these, in my world, that's a memorabilia category. That goes into a bin. We protect it with plastic and a lot of protection. It doesn't go into a cardboard box. Don't use that stuff anymore, you guys. It's a recipe for wet and bugs. It's no good. If you really want something to last, put it in some really good plastic bin with a gasket, ideally. But you want to take that stuff out of your day to day and you want to put it in a storage area. It's the basement or the garage or the shed or something that you're not necessarily living with. It's going to open space, and that can be used for so many different areas inside of the home. But the reason the garage is really important to me is because the garage can become a beautiful place to put things that are not on a day-to-day basis but well stored. You don't have to. I think a garage is probably safer than a basement at times. I live in Colorado. We see a lot of flooding. It's not great. Basements are not the greatest place to put things, especially if they're not protected. So the garage has a lot of functions. And I think that's what really called me to do this online course that I created to help couples really be very deliberate in their intentions about what they want the space to do, because the garage can do a lot of things. It can house your cars. I had one couple that were telling me something that I didn't even think about. They said, "Oh no, like out in the heat, if we can put the cars in the garage, our leather is going to be more protected. It's going to have better resale value." And I'm just like, "Oh, I never would have thought of that." So if you haven't thought about about that, think about it, because it really can become this place where you are protecting one of your assets from a lot of things. Hail, yeah, it's and I think when people are utilizing their garage to store things that they never ever use and they probably should say goodbye to, you sort of have to start to look at, like, okay, why are we keeping this stuff so that we can actually take care of the things that we do have investment in. So anyway, that's what I'd say about the garage. What do you have there?
No, I was gonna say I love that the switch right there that you flipped with, and I think that's gonna speak to a lot of people that are the non-emotional right side. So I think people will keep things out of emotion, and maybe I'm gonna lean into stereotypes here, which I know not all stereotypes are real.
I know, but yeah, they're there for a reason.
But generally, in society, women are known as the more emotional side, and men are the more practical side. Not always the case. I can be very practical in my life. But I think if a woman is approaching this, most of my audience are women. So I'm going to say the women are the ones listening to this and they're approaching it, and they're going to be the ones that get their husbands on board. And if you can come at it from that logical angle of, hey, we have this $50,000 car that we are putting out on the street and we are not protecting it from the elements. It could get more easily broken into. The whole catalytic converter thing was huge here in California. So there are lots of reasons that we can maybe use and come at it from a more practical perspective. And I just like how you're bringing that up. I mean, we live in Southern California and you wouldn't think the weather is an issue here, but again, you've got those catalytic converters that were getting stolen for a while. We've got the sea air, right? So now you've got salt in the air that you don't think about, and you can get rust spots on your car because of the salt air. So I think no matter where you live, I think it's best if we can get both of our cars in the garage if possible.
I agree. I really do agree. And again, that's not the whole premise of the course, but it is asking you exactly how do you want to use the space, because some people could say, "Oh, I don't have a workout space in my house because there's no space."
That's what we have in our garage.
Right on. So you can take this pretty decent amount of floor space and do some really really cool stuff with it. And I think one of the coolest is to create a home gym. You know, you can't get away from the excuses that easily if it's right there.
My Peloton's calling.
Yes, right on. So there's a discussion, and that's how the course starts. It's really about envisioning the space how you both want it. And really, you can have it be anything you want it to be. It could become a new craft zone. It could be a lot of things. But having everyone at a discussion table around it is a great idea. As we envision together, people can go big and they can go and make a little Pinterest board. They can do a whole bunch of things, and people can go and spend thousands of dollars to make the sexiest garage possible, or they can do it low budget. And I give all the options, because most importantly, the garage is underutilized more oftentimes than not, because people are not utilizing the vertical space. And so that's the easiest plan of attack to get things more organized and off the floor, and really look good too. Like, I've seen some situations where the garage just looks great with a bunch of metro shelving and the same color bins. It's just like very nice. But, there's also, you can call California Closets and spend a couple of $10,000 and, and make it really gorgeous if you want. But it's all how you want it. And the other piece that's really important in the course is I'm teaching about communication. We're doing the first module is all about how you're going to talk to each other. We're going to change some of the dynamics, and we're going to do so with some easy tools and some easy agreements, and just slowing things down, talking a little bit about nervous system, because most of us have a big fear about getting in conflict. And so, again, conflict is all relative. For someone to just give me the side eye, I'm like, ooh, I didn't like that, you know. And then I've seen other couples, like, they're physically yelling at each other with a loud tone, and that's out of my wheelhouse. That doesn't even like, I'm like, nah, people don't do that, do they? So the yelling and the nagging and the blaming and the shaming are out the window. We're not using those anymore. We're actually coming to the table and coming into a place of understanding where we are different, how we're going to problem solve the differences, and it's going to turn into a peaceful experience that you can take into all other spaces in your home to truly create that sanctuary that you both want. It's and not only is it clutter based, it's just a new way of speaking with each other, and it brings in a lot of sweet intimacy and care versus, "Oh, we got to do that garage." And I want you guys to feel really excited about doing the garage together, and move into this team sensation versus opposing teams. A lot of times I see the opposing situation of like, oh, why can't you do this? Do it this way. No, I like that here. So there'll be a whole bunch of discussion about crafting it the way that you both want it. And then there's going to be some negotiation. And that's what we're going to do. We're negotiating.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. I want to ask you a question there about the differences in how partners generally approach decluttering and organizing. What have you seen? Yeah, I'm curious. What are some of the biggest differences you've seen, and how can people start to bridge those?
I just bumped into one, which was really wonderful. I don't think I'd ever really understood to the depth that I understood at this time, that well, each individual, I don't want to say genders, but again, we don't need to stay in stereotypes. Everyone's so different, but the pacing, like the straight up pacing of how someone is going to want to organize a space differs greatly. So again, we might have the female who's emotional and she's got a box of her high school stuff and she's going to sort it. That pace is going to slow down Joe Speedy. He's like, I got all the landscaping done. I'm all in the car. And she's just like, I don't want to go that fast. And so that's going to create a conflict. So what I would recommend, and what I will recommend inside of the course, is that the second you see, you're going to identify what the stuff is in the garage, and you're going to start to determine what's going to take you some time to do. And you're going to do that on your own time. You're going to take that box into the house. You're going to sift it during a show, or you're just going to sift it on your own time. You're not going to do that when you guys are working together, because that will prevent some of that frustration and agitation. Like, why is she taking so long right now? We're moving. Come on. So we're really going to try and mitigate that difference. by utilizing other time frames to sort. And pacing is a really big thing in general. And so I know for sure people think, oh, we can get this done in a weekend. You know what? It's going to be a painful ride if you do, you guys. It's going to really suck.
You can, but you have to be aware of what you are taking on, right? Like, I mean, I think sometimes I don't want to tell people that they can't do it in a weekend. I mean, you absolutely can. You can do anything you want. You just have to understand the trade offs of what you're giving. And I mean, you better, if you have kids, you better ship them off to grandma and grandpa's or a friend's because there is no way there is enough time to deal with all the human needs and all of the years of emotional stuff that you've got stored away. So, yeah.
That's true. That's one of the first things I tell clients when I'm going to work with them. I'm like, yeah, if I'm not working with your child has to leave the house because I need your full attention. I'm the one who needs your full attention during this process. Yeah, that's always how it goes. I would say you're right. It can be done in a weekend, but it's going to be tragic to your relationship more than likely because the pacing is going to really bump in. Someone's going to get tired, the other one's not. Uh, it's going to be crappy. And that's going to set you up for not wanting to do home projects together. And I mean, I had an ex-husband who we struggled in home projects together, and I think the main reason we did was we just weren't doing a good amount of planning of how to do it well. Whether it was we were lacking education. I just wrote an email about when we put in our kitchen sink when we moved into this place. And oh man, it was ugly. It was so ugly, Deanna. Oh my God. We were yakking at each other, just really upset and frustrated. I thought, oh man, and my hands are going to be in this sink every day for a long time. I hope this doesn't stick around, the memory of it.
Oh, that's so interesting you say that. I have felt that too, right? The idea of how you do something at the beginning having those lasting effects because those are the memories you go back to when you come back to that spot or back to that thing. Yes. Oh, I get that. Right. So, how you do that in the beginning could fester for years.
Totally. We don't want to create a pain point memory that you're going to be left with for the entire time that you live in the house. So that's really why I'm creating these online garages, not just the online garage, but the garage is the first one because I think they both will have a significant amount of investment in the space, to some extent. Whereas if maybe I said, "Oh, I'm going to do a course on the pantry," I don't know, there'd be some genderized situations where I don't think some people would give a crap. Like, whatever, who cares? They don't care what the pantry looks like. But I think everyone's got, and I would think everyone's,
A stake in the garage.
yes, yes, it's really a joint space that should be done jointly, in my opinion.
All right. So, my question to you was going to be what inspired you to create the course, how to organize your garage without killing your partner. And if there was a particular project that nearly pushed you over the edge or did push you over the edge and you were like, okay, this is it. This is why.
Mostly, I think this course was created through working with clients. Yeah, it wasn't so much my own relationship. I think honestly, just being in people's relationships in homes for 30 years, I have a bird's eye view of what is going on in the day to day of a lot of humans. And I really want to try and alleviate some of that disconnection that is happening that I'm seeing, whether it's disappointment, frustration, irritation, aggravation, full on just, they don't even like each other anymore. And that's real, you know? And I would like to try and bridge that so that people come back together and remember why they chose each other. And I see every person that comes into my life as a curriculum, and trying to lose all of these, I don't want to say like expectations of what they're supposed to do and be for me. They get to be their own person. And from that, I get to learn how I am going to interface with that.
I like that. I like that perspective. I think that makes a lot of sense. And I think sometimes we as humans are so close to our own life and what's happening that we can't pull emotionally away from it. And so I appreciate that there are people like you that can come in and say, like, okay, we're gonna just let all that part go and we're going to start and be really practical. And then as we start to uncover these things, all these little lessons come in, and it's just we can, yeah, I really like your approach. I think it's going to be really helpful for a lot of families.
I think if we can move away from what our expectations are, it's a really beautiful opportunity for your person to be a new person to you every day. It's so much easier said than done, truly, it really is. But it can be a goal to let your partner be exactly who they are without trying to shift and change them, because it really doesn't work in the end, everybody. You're going to spend a lot of your life force trying to get them to see the world the way that you do, and they won't.
And you didn't fall in love with them because they were exactly like you. So what was it that you fell in love with, and getting back to that idea?
Yeah, I mean, people have to ideally get out of their to-do lists and all of the I don't know, the hamster wheel of what our lives have become, and drop in with one another. Just it could I teach this really important communication tool that I love so much, and it's really changed the way that I'm in relationship with my current partner. And it creates such a level of safety and trust that if anything is really uncomfortable to talk about or difficult or hard, that we know that we can always rely on this tool that we do every month, and that it's a beautiful safe space to bring your, sometimes whatever it is, frustration, agitation, hurt, vulnerability. But I'm going to tell you the three questions. And I wrote a book, everybody. It's got this tool that I think is life changing to any relationship. And so I want to just mention that, because I'm going to give you the real short version, but there's a lot more to it. So anyway, it's in the book. And my book is called Clutter in Couples: Organize Your Home and Transform Your Relationship. And it's a guide and a workbook, everybody. It's really worthy. It's a very low entry price to change how you actually interface with your partner around clutter, but also in your life together. Okay, the three questions are this. You sit in front of each other. It's you're utilizing listening, active listening. This is not a conversation. So I would say to you, Deanna, tell me something you love about me. And you could tell me 1, 2, 20. Doesn't matter. You can just go to town. And so you're getting to hear all these beautiful things about what your partner loves about you. How often does that happen? Not that often. So God, just having this on a regular is super good. So they finish, they say, okay, I'm done. You say thank you. Then you switch. And then we go into the next question. And the next question is, tell me something you think we agree upon. And that offers a lovely additional overlap of where you see things similarly. And maybe it's how you both parent, or who knows what it is, but it's a beautiful place again for you to see what you can do as a team and how you actually move through the life together. The last question is, tell me something you want me to know about you. Or it could be, tell me something you want me to understand about you, something about that. And so that's usually where that last question is, where you can bring the piece of, I was really hurt when you didn't pick up your stuff and you said you were going to. And it made me feel like you didn't care about how we were living in the house. I mean, you can just be truthful, but not blaming. Like, you can just talk about how it made your being felt. And it's not for them to solve in the moment, it's for them to hear. There's no sense in getting defensive because you're not going to speak. You're just listening, you're just hearing what is happening for your partner. And hopefully you're putting it in some type of folder and coming back to that inside of your day-to-day life from here on out, and making some changes, like really remembering, like, oh yeah, when I drop my shit all over the counter, that stresses her out. I'm going to put it in this drawer that I just cleared out so that I have a place to land my stuff. It's a way to be loving to your partner by hearing what upsets them and maybe trying to make some changes. It doesn't have to be perfect, but showing the effort that you care and you want to help shift some of that anxiety for them is going to bring a lot more generosity and love into your relationship. So that's it. And it's a beautiful, beautiful technique. And I highly recommend doing it, everybody.
Ooh, I love that so much. And we will definitely have the link in the show notes for anybody that wants to check that out. So they don't have to remember, just click on through, go get that, check it out. And I can imagine, yes, because again, it's how your partner wants to be loved and appreciated and seen versus, like you were saying at the very beginning, right? We're all different versus how you want to be seen. And I remember early on in our relationship, just something like silly as like giving each other a massage, and like where my pressure points are very different than where my husband's pressure points are. So if I give him a massage how I want to be massaged, well, it's not going to hit the pressure point or the area of his back that he wants or where he feels pain, versus if he gives me a massage how he wants, he's not going to hit where I want to, where I want to feel the massage the most. So even like something simple like that, but taking it into, then extrapolate that into all the different areas of our life of how do you want to be talked to, or how do you hear and process information is very different. I'm extroverted, my husband's introverted. Like I'm the one that wants the knee-jerk reaction and like quick decisions, and he's like, nope, I want to take my time and process things. And so, we've been together for a very long time, and we learned very early on that we were very different. I always said that how we do things is completely opposite, but our end goal is generally the same. And so it's like we have the same ideas, like we want to get to the same finish line, but how we get there is generally not the same. So it was very lucky that early on in our relationship we learned that. And so, but that doesn't mean we can't work on some of these areas too, and it comes up in different ways.
Totally. So since you've been together, so have you accepted, it sounds like you've accepted that inside of each other, that you have different paths to get to the end result.
We laugh now. Like we just totally laugh about it. Cause like even like how we fold pants, it's the opposite. Like how we do like everything. I'm not kidding when I say everything. Like there are all these little things that we're just like, yep, of course. And we just laugh about it. And so it's just like, it's just become something that we can enjoy and make fun of and just have levity around versus like, why did you do it that way? It's like, oh, of course. Well, of course. We took the Myers-Briggs like early on, and we were opposite letters. There are four things. We were the exact opposites. Like it's just, we always knew that about each other. And so we were able to laugh about it versus, expecting it to be done exactly the same way.
And I really do think that there's a lot of people out on the planet who think eventually they'll come to my ways, or they'll think, well, they better come to my ways. Like this whole control aspect really never serves either. But I want to point out that you guys made a choice to look at it with humor and acceptance versus frustration and disappointment.
Well, and I think when you look at it from your lens too, like if you're sitting there saying, I expect my partner to change and become more like me, then you're also not thinking about the idea that your partner might be looking at you thinking, I want them to change and eventually they're going to change and come to it my way. So, yeah, people cannot change other people. You can only change yourself. So if you decide you like their way better, then you can change to their way, but only after you make that conscious choice.
Yep, the conscious choice is really crucial. And one of the things that I'm really getting right now in my life is the more that we are honest about what we want, because a lot of people have issues with understanding that they can have needs. There's a lot of people who are people pleasers to the point where they don't even know that they can have needs. But you can please look into that. You can have all your needs met, but you have to know what they are. And I think that's where a lot of people get caught. They don't even know that they can. So when you figure out your needs, you actually get to say exactly what it is that you want and need. And so does your partner. And it doesn't mean that you both get that, but at least you each know it and you can now problem solve like, okay, I feel like I can really give you this in this way. But if we don't know the true desire and need that is trying to get filled, we're starting from nowhere land. We can't move forward. You'll the one who's not expressing what their needs, they're going to turn into a martyr more than likely. They are never going to get their needs met and they are always going to be frustrated with their partner because they are not getting their needs met from them. The partner's in the dark, everybody.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, as a recovering people pleaser, part of that is taking time to look inward and figure out what are those needs, right? And so if you go through something and you're like, that did not turn out how I expected it to, it's likely that you didn't know what you wanted in the end and then weren't able to communicate it because you just didn't know. And so instead of getting frustrated, take it as a moment to like self-reflect and be like, okay, what did I expect? How did I want that to turn out? What was the need? What was the desire I had in the end? And how can I better communicate that going forward? Because I think also if we look at it as an opportunity to learn, oh, I wanted that to be different. So I had a different need or desire, then you can start to understand that about yourself too. Because for me, my from my personal experience, a lot of it was that I didn't know. I didn't even know in the first place what I wanted. So, how could I communicate it if I didn't know? And so, having to have that internal self reflection time first made it easier then to get the desired outcome I wanted because I knew what I wanted.
Agreed. Agreed. I touch a little bit in my book around that, and I it goes into the chapter where I talk about boundaries. And I think that's another thing that we lack inside of our personalized homes for the most part. We were taught that we're supposed to share a bedroom and we're supposed to share a lot of different things. And I'm really trying to get people to understand that they can have their own spaces. You know, if that guest bedroom is really never used, turn that into whatever it is. Maybe it's the workout, maybe it's utilize your house as much as you possibly can and have separate spaces, because those separate spaces will allow you to live in that space the way that you want to without impacting anyone. So if you're a total clutter hound and you want all of that clutter around you and that makes you feel safe, that's like a little cocoon for you. And that's not impacting anyone because people close the door and they don't see it and it's all yours. And you don't have to feel bad about it. You don't have to hear any flack from your partner who is impact like don't go in that then. If that stresses you out, don't open the door. But same could be the other way. Like it could be just this beautiful zen zone that no one can go into and mess up because it's yours. And so anyway, I'm really affirm. I mean, I know boundaries can be so many different things, but a physical boundary is really going to help, especially if you have a different clutter threshold.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll call that first one a maximalist, right? If you love it, it's not clutter to you. So, absolutely, like you can make those choices for yourself, and hopefully, other people aren't trying to declutter your stuff behind your back.
Exactly. Right. Is that the current term? Is that what people are utilizing? Maximalist?
I think so. I don't know. I think that's what I utilize just because, you know, again, if you are a minimalist, right, when you have nothing, I had to get away from that term because it made me feel too much pressure. Like it felt very pressurized for me. So that's why I moved to clutter free because it's then to me clutter free is the right amount of stuff for you. So yeah, might be too much for somebody else, and it might not be enough for a different person, but for you, it's just right. It's like Goldilocks.
So relative. And that's another thing everybody just really embrace the relativity of life. Like everyone is so different. What's a lot of money to someone is a small amount of money. And same thing, stuff, blah blah blah, everything is relative.
That is a good point. Yeah.
And that's hopefully going to bring a little bit more awareness to how we roll in the world, and recognizing that we're all seeing it from such a different vantage point, such a different perspective. So, this was great. I loved it. Love this chat, sister.
Oh, I love that. All right. Perhaps we should just end on that because it was so beautiful. I love it. All right, Colette. Well, where can people find you? I know they're going to want to look you up and find out more.
Oh, that's great. So I am everywhere under the moniker of Clutter and Couples, all spelt out. Clutter, AND Couples. And you'll find me in Amazon. And I think we're going to drop the my website and everything down. Yep, it'll all be in the show notes. So yeah, but I'm on TikTok and Instagram. I have more juice happening on TikTok right now, I think.
All right. I have yet to delve into the TikTok world, but
And I also do long form content on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel.
oh, nice. Okay, perfect. Well, we will make sure all the links are in the show notes so people can just come on over wherever they prefer. So, all right. Okay, and then my favorite way to end every episode, which you know because you've been on the show before, is with 3 rapid fire questions. And I actually changed the first one because I felt like we already know. And if you want to know the answer to what clutter free means to Colette, go over to episode 211. But today we are asking what your favorite decluttering or organizing mantra is.
Start small. Don't get caught into overwhelm, because that's where everyone lives. It's too much. They don't have time. They can't do it. It's going to take forever. Just do one drawer at a time, you guys. And eventually you'll be like, oh, I want to devote a whole weekend to my closet.
Which you totally can then at that point.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you don't have to be overwhelmed. You've worked that muscle. You know how to declutter.
Yeah. Ooh, I love that. Okay. Yeah. It's like a workout. Oh, get those bicep curls in. Let's do it. All right. Number 2, what is making you happy right now or in this season of life?
I have to say, really loving myself. Like, I don't know if it's because I'm in my 50s now that I can just really feel a sense of peace by being alone. And I love it. And it's really impacting how I'm in relationship, because that peace is exuding into that connection with that person. So I'm really pleased about that.
I love that. That is a beautiful answer. And number 3, what is a goal you have for yourself this year?
The goal is to change how I generate income for myself. I am on the path to become a digital nomad. I want to live in my van, but I also want to live in other countries. And I want to coach people one on one inside of a computer, and also sell courses that will hopefully help people be so much more of a team together and so much more connected.
Love it. All right. Well, Colette, thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful day. Well, I just love when we can take something like organizing a garage, something that feels so practical, and turn it into a bigger conversation about partnership, communication, navigating the real messiness of doing life together. So, huge thanks to Colette for bringing her humor and her heart to that topic. And let's be honest, it can feel heated at times. So, it's always great to have someone in your corner to help you tackle these really big things that surprisingly feel emotional when we're like, I don't understand why this feels so emotional, but there's a lot that goes on underneath that outer exterior that we all have. So it's really great to have somebody that we can lean on. And so if you've ever found yourself mid project wondering how your partner could possibly be emotionally attached to a broken weed trimmer or something like that from 2004, then hopefully this episode gave you some tools to help you move forward as a team with less tension. But now I want to hear from you. What part of today's conversation stood out to you the most? What resonated with you? Is there one project that you've been putting off because you don't want to start World War III in your garage? Well, share your thoughts with me on Instagram. I am at Wannabe Clutter Free. Come join in the discussion over there. Colette will be there as well. So if you have any questions to either of us, that's a great place to ask. I would love to hear how you and your partner are going to start navigating these projects together so that you can both win. Okay? It's not a battle, you're a team. All right, remember you can get show notes for all of the resources we talked about today, and Colette's links are waiting for you as well over at wannabeclutterfree.com/261, or just click through below. And next week, I will be back with a solo episode. We are continuing with our empowering series with a conversation about your inner world, and specifically how clutter can impact your mental health, and a few tips to start to alleviate that inner workings and making your stuff work for you instead of against you. All right, it's going to be an important one, especially if your space is starting to affect how you feel on a daily basis. So don't miss it. All right, until next time, take care, keep things simple, be open to letting go of more and working with your partner and how they look at things. It's not a one-sided equation here, okay? We are a team, like I said before. Remember, I believe in you. I know you can do it. I'm Deanna Yates, and you've been listening to Wannabe Clutter Free. I'll see you next week. Cheers.